So I think we're live and we're just going to give a minute to see if some folks will join us. I'm so excited to be live on Facebook for the first time in a long time. And so as we get some folks joining us, we'll wait a moment. And if anybody joins us, come say hello in the comments. Maybe tell us where you're from, how you're doing today. And I'm really excited to be joined here with two beautiful ladies. So I'm just going to kind of dive into this and talk about our amazing event that we have going on coming up here. But first, let me introduce some amazing ladies. I'm here with two great animal communicators. We have Meredith Tollison and Karen Dendy-Smith with me. Say hi, ladies.
Hi. Hi. We're glad to be here.
We've got some folks starting to join us. So if you're
Wonderful.
in and you want to send a comment, say hello to us. We'd love to have you stop in and say hello. Tell us where you're messaging us in from. But let's talk about why we're here today. So I, as a medium, love to work with spirit. And wonderful things that happen in working with spirit is that our animals can come in and connect with us either from the living or from the spirit side. So today I'm joined, like I said, by these two gorgeous ladies, and I'm going to have them each introduce themselves. They're wonderful animal communicators. They have a podcast, the Animal Communication Podcast, and a wonderful foundation called the Animal Communication Collective. So what a really special treat we have. I always joke as a medium, ladies, by the way, we always have this fun joke that people, when we work with spirit, we bring in a loved one from spirit. Everybody loves that. But then you bring in their animal, and the emotions that come through are sometimes way more exciting when they know that their animal is okay in spirit. And so I thought it'd be really great for us to talk maybe a little bit about that. But first, let's introduce yourselves. So Karen, why don't you go first and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, thanks for having us. And I already see Carla said hi. So hi, Carla.
Hi, Carla.
And so, gosh, how do I introduce myself? I'm an animal communicator, so level intuitive coach. I work with Chinese energy medicine, doing energy work, kind of like Reiki, but the Chinese path. And I also teach people meditation and Qigong. And I work with the animals I would call it an energy medicine level of intuition. And so, yeah, that's my background. And we also have the podcast, which you talked about. And that podcast is about talking about everything animal communication. And Lauren has been on our podcast, which I'm very excited about.
That was so much fun.
It was so much fun. You'll have to come back.
So fun. I would love that.
Yeah. And then the collective, which I'll just share really quickly, the Animal Communication Collective was founded a few years ago, actually during the pandemic. After my cat Hockey Puck passed away, he was actually the catalyst, no pun intended, catalyst, but he was the catalyst in spirit for the collective, and started downloading me literally while I was at a funeral. Like, I was at a wake for a friend, and we were out to dinner afterward, and he started downloading me because my husband was asking me, what are you going to do with this new animal stuff that you're doing? And he started showing me what I could do if I called together all my friends to come and work with us to give animals a voice. And so I brought that really rough idea to Meredith and a few others. And Meredith jumped on from the beginning with me, and she helped me construct and build this whole Animal Communication Collective, where there are 30 plus animal communicators, all alumni of the Danielle McKinnon School, by the way. So we're all alumni. We all come together.
We love Danielle.
We love Danielle. And thanks to her, we've all come together. And we all work together with rescues and shelters all around the country doing online fundraising events, including for Nika Love, which is how we met Nika Love. Although this is not an ACC event that we're going into, the collective is an amazing group of 30 plus communicators that all do volunteer work for free to raise funds.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a wonderful mission that you guys have come together with. I love that.
Really cool, huh?
Oh, well, thank you, Karen. That's wonderful. And I'm so glad that you're here joining us today. And by the way, if you're just joining us here on the live, I've put a little note in the comments. If you have any questions, you can pop them up, and we'd be happy to maybe answer some questions about your loved ones in spirit or your animal friends. So Miss Meredith, we'll come to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hello, everyone. I am Meredith Tollison. I am also a soul level animal communicator, soul level intuitive coach. I have some training in canine behavior training specifically. I'm a certified dog trainer, which is what I thought I wanted to be when I grow up. I was somewhere in my 40s when I was looking for a trainer, couldn't find one that I trusted, and I went and became one. And then I found animal communication, and I've leaned far more into the animal communication end of things than the training. Unfortunately, I'm still working full time, so I don't get to spend as much time doing all of this phenomenal work as I want to, but I commit as much of my time and energy to it as I can. As Karen said, when she began what she brought to this group of us, we were in a Zoom meeting. We were all still kind of learning Zoom. It was early in 2020, and she brought this crazy idea to us about creating a fundraising organization. And we were like, yeah, that sounds good. Hung up the phone, got off the Zoom, and I immediately called Karen and said, I'm in. Let's figure out how we can do this together. So with her phenomenal idea and leadership, I just sort of stepped in and said, how can I be supportive? And here we are almost 5 years later. We've worked with dozens of organizations. As Karen said, we've got 30 plus members who are international, all over the country and actually all over the world. I'm down here in Tupelo, Mississippi, back in my hometown after many, many years gone. And I love seeing how we can all reach each other through this technology, no matter where we are in the world. So all of that to say, I have lots of things I do with animals. All of my animal communication readings, I work with lost animals. I work with missing animals, lots of different aspects of that. But I love seeing groups of people come together. I love seeing communities come together and do the work that needs to be done to support the amazing shelters and rescues across the country and actually internationally. I'm so excited to be working with the two of you to support Nika Love out of Nicaragua, and be real live and in person doing this event. It's fantastic.
This event, by the way, if you're just joining us here or you're checking this out in a replay format, the three of us are going to be working together on June 8th in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 3S Art Space. Beautiful venue, by the way. I'm very excited to be at 3S Art Space for an event called Messages with Love, about animal communication and spirit messages. So I actually have a question for you ladies, and Karen, will come to you, and then Meredith, you can share. When you work with animals and they're coming in either from the living side or from the spirit side, how do you feel them come to you? I know as a medium, like when I feel spirit, there's like a whole other energy that comes in and I tune into that. Is it similar with animal communication?
I'm going to say for me, yes. When I connect in with an animal, I'm calling in their soul, right? And there is an energetic vibrational connection that happens, just like with spirit. And animals, by the way, have brought in humans for me the way that humans have brought in animals for you. We've talked about this. It's crazy.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how the two worlds can start to blend together?
Because a soul is a soul. It's just driving a different bus. And that's the way I look at it, is like it's living in a different house. So the energy is coming through, and then I start getting the images and feelings and hearings and knowings that through the lens, I would call it the lens of personality of the being I'm connected to.
Oh, I love that. That's so inspiring.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And Meredith, is it similar? Do you feel like it works a little differently? Because I feel like as a medium, we all have a similar way that spirit comes forward, but each medium, I always say, is like their own fingerprint, that the way that they come through the medium is maybe a little specific to who we are. Do you feel like it works a little differently for you?
Absolutely. And we recorded a whole podcast episode about this today, about how
we're not psychic,
right? Well, how every one of us works in a little bit different way. And the way that the energy comes through to us is based on our own lens and our own filter and our own experiences. We've talked about this before, Lauren, that I think we work a little bit differently. A lot of mediums wait for someone to come in and then try and determine where it connects to. So as animal communicators, we are connecting specifically with a designated animal. We are asking that animal, setting an intention, and asking that animal for permission to connect. at the request of the human that's brought them to us. So when I'm connecting with an animal, I do that. I set that intention. I ask them for permission to connect, and then boom, the information just starts coming to me. I receive information in all different ways. I see, hear, feel, touch, taste, smell. I get downloads of knowing. I get, look at Karen's cat. Hello, Dia.
Aw.
Go ahead.
I
Go
get,
ahead.
and now she's
She
going to
does
climb
this
on our bed.
Yep, every time. This is her way of welcoming
I just have to
everyone.
put that out. Sorry. Hi, honey. They
Here we
seem to
go.
know, right? They
Yeah.
seem to know when we're in energy, don't they?
They do. They do. And they come in. And, you know, my animals who never come into my office space here, the dog will come and get in the bed behind me. You know, he'll crawl under the covers and put his head on the pillows. And one of the cats who never emerges comes in and just sits and talks to me while I'm working with clients. They really do sense the energy. And in my experience, they're really here to support me when I'm doing that work. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, I think that's so true. I find lately my cat's been like, if I'm working from home, she wants to be sitting here when I'm in a reading, and she'll be asleep, but she wants to be in the room. So I do feel like
She's not sleeping. She's meditating.
or sending energy, right?
Right. holding the field force for you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So, and I know some folks are joining. We've got some hellos, Donna. Hello, Marilyn. If anybody has any questions about animal connections or communications while I have these beautiful goddesses on with me, just pop them into the comments and we'll see if they can give us a little love and guidance. Do you each feel that there is a special message? I always like to ask this because I believe as a medium, our loved ones are always trying to remind us, number one, that they're doing okay.
Yes.
You know, that they when they transition, that when they bring through their love, that they're trying to tell us that they're doing okay and that they want to bring us love and support. Is there anything in the spirit side of animal communication that you feel that animal spirits may want to share with their, you know, beloved, you know, family here, that they may kind of share as messages commonly?
I mean, I hear a lot from animals, I'm whole again. And what they mean by whole again is their consciousness is full and consciously aware of all that they have been, as well as what they just were now. And they really want to get across to their human that they're okay, that they're fuller, they have even more knowledge than they could share when they were in their bodies. And they really want to explain how they're going to continue to work with their human and support them while they're in this fuller, more conscious spirit state. And it's a really cool thing that happens, you know. They really are looking to let their people know that they're okay, that they're back into their fullness, and that they love them still and are still completely connected to them.
Oh, I love that. I think that it's so common and it's so similar to the work that we do. Meredith, I have a question for you. Yeah, I'm like, woo. When our loved ones, our animals are kind of with us, even in the living side, you know, I know a lot of teachings that I hear, you know, from you all as animal communicators, is that they're kind of here to give us messages and blessings, even in the living side. Is there anything that, you know, we could share with and I always feel like this is maybe a selfish question. Like, what can we do collectively to share love with our animals and let them know that we appreciate and maybe how some of their behaviors are trying to teach us lessons?
Okay. So I think that we're communicating with our animals all the time, all the time. Even if it's a little, hey, I wonder if I need to refill the water bowl. That's a bit of a communication with your animal. You think you're just thinking of it, but they're actually sending those messages to you. So long way around to your answer. The type of work that Karen and I have both done for all these years is soul level animal communication, which to me is based on the belief, the understanding, and the lessons from the animals that we are here collaboratively working with our animals at this particular time in this particular place for a particular reason. And that there's always an opportunity for our own soul growth and development in that relationship. So what can we do to deepen that relationship? We can pay attention. We can listen. We can understand that they are amazing teachers, that they are helping us all the time. And here comes Barnabas in here just to soak up a little bit of this energy. Hey, buddy. Um, and he's going to knock my screen over. So understanding that and believing that and paying attention to them and listening to them is really the best way to deepen our relationship. Also, we have to accept that sometimes these messages are not the easiest. You know, the lessons are not the easiest. And we got to put in the work that they're here trying to help us learn how to do. The good news is they're supporting us in that, whether they're in life or in spirit. I don't believe that when an animal passes, the work that they're doing stops. I believe that they continue to work with us in spirit from the other side to help us stay on that correct path.
I love that. I feel like sometimes my cat sits there and gives me like this eye that's like, are you paying attention, mom? The stink eye, I call it. And I'm like, okay, what do you need me to pay attention to? And I feel like as a medium, I should be better at communicating with her. But sometimes I feel like she's looking at me like, are you getting the message?
Isn't that funny though? We've talked with a couple of other mediums, and one of them said, "Oh my God, I get so freaked out when the animals come in." And you know, we as animal communicators initially kind of got a little freaked out when a person came in. But we're all
What am I supposed to do with you now?
You don't have fur. But we're doing such similar work. We're just coming at it from a couple of different angles, and it's far more connected than we've allowed ourselves to believe, which is part of the reason I'm so excited to do it all together.
I know this will be really amazing. And again, for those who are tuning in, we've got a very special event coming up on June 8th in Portsmouth. The three of us are going to be working together to connect with loved ones in spirit. That will be me. And who knows, these ladies may get that loved one too. That will be so much fun, by the way. If you're up there and you're like, Lauren, come join us and help us with this.
Lauren, can you talk to the man who's sitting over here trying to usurp the dog time, please?
Now, here's another question for anybody. I know what it looks like when I go to an event and I'm giving messages from spirit. If we're in a room with you ladies, and if these wonderful folks want to come join us, what would animal communication look like in that setting? How would they bring pictures or raise their hand and say, can you connect with my animal? How would you work with that?
That's a really good question. So no pictures needed, no items needed. We don't want to see a picture. We don't need to touch anything, although that is a way of doing it, right? But that's just not what we're doing. I guess, you know, in the past, we have felt an area of the room and said, okay, I'm being drawn over here. First of all, what I'll say is, if we pick you and you don't want a reading, just say no, thank you.
Yeah.
But we're going to go where the animals are pushing us to go. And so in the past, what Meredith and I and our other friend Jody Crotty have done together when we did a live event is we were drawn to an area and honed in on a particular person. It didn't mean that I knew who the animal was yet, but I was being drawn to the person, and I would go to the person and say, I'm really being drawn to you. Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear from your animal? And then if they did, we'd go into just give me their name, species, gender. And in this case, we want to talk to animals who are in spirit. So the animal in spirit. So, and then we go from there. We call them in, send out the telephone signal, and boom, start going.
I love that. Not unlike mediumship in some ways. You know, there's many times we feel drawn to, you know, the spirit will come in, but we still feel pulled. You know, sometimes I'm like, I'm coming to you, or I'm coming this way. So that's very similar to see in terms of, you know, and, you know, we've got a couple, actually, I was just going to say, we got a couple of people commenting if you guys have any questions. And this is interesting. I see too, we've got Marilyn. I love this. Our cat lays on my pillow and she always knows when I'm sad. Do you find that they're such healers that way? Or when I notice when I'm sick, my cat wants to lie with me. Any things, Meredith, that you might want to share about how our animals can sense our moods?
Absolutely. To me, it's all energy, and our animals can feel our energy. And a lot of times they'll mirror that back to us. Mm-hmm. Or they'll support us through that. I had a dog who absorbed more tears than I can imagine that one dog could even absorb. Anytime I was sad, he would come and lay his enormous body across me, and I would cry into the fuzzy fur on the back of his neck. And he just knew that that was the time that I needed him. And then that would make me cry even more because I'm like, do you just know? This is way before I did any sort of animal communication. But yeah, they totally pick up on that. They'll pick up on our anxiety.
Mhm.
And they'll pick up on our sadness. They'll pick up on our happiness and demonstrate that back to us. And here's the thing, for the most part, we're so much willing to do so much more for our animals than we're willing to do for ourselves.
It's true.
And sometimes that's part of the lesson is
Yeah.
them saying, okay, I'm going to reflect this back to you so that you'll do for me. And in that process, you'll understand what it is you need to do for yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing I definitely want to talk about, and by the way, I want to give a little shout out to Julie. She's in the comments, our dear friend Julie.
Yay, Julie.
We'll talk about Julie and, the founder of Nika Love and, all the wonderful things that we're going to do here. But really quick, one thing I know is so true and something that I think as humans, we really struggle with is unconditional love. And I actually did an event last night and the guides were saying as humans, we actually don't even understand the real level of unconditional love, except when we're with our animals, because I think that they share with us unconditional love.
Yes.
Is there any comments you ladies would even share in regards to that true way that they just give us undying love? And why do you think the animals are way better at that than we are?
So what I would say is their presence, their complete presence with the present and being really authentic and true without malice, right? And seeing everyone and everything as an equal opportunity to be present.
Yeah.
And for me, that is truly a piece of unconditional love. And I have a great teacher that says it this way. It's a very ancient Chinese theory. But if true unconditional love means that you would bestow the same warmth as the sun on every living being, no matter who or what they are or what they're doing. The sun has no judgment. It bestows the same warmth, no matter what is going on beneath it. So that's that one was mind blowing for me, because when I started to apply that to real life, I thought, so that means that if someone's yelling at me, if I'm the sun, I still shine love and warmth on them.
Yeah.
Right. If somebody has stolen from me, okay, am I a little scared? Sure, because I'm human. But do I have compassion for what might be going on for them? Do I hold myself in a more neutral place if I can? That's what unconditional love really is. And that's what the animals do. They are completely present in every single moment, managing every single moment from a place of authenticness and not malice or judgment.
Yeah.
And that's why we love them so much, because they're there for us no matter what. They don't judge us because we had a crappy day or forgot to feed them once or, whatever we do as humans.
Meredith, is there anything you would add to that?
Yeah, they're just amazing. And what I mean, just what incredible teachers. They are in their trueness. They are their true authentic selves. And that's not to say that every animal is perfect or doesn't have behavior issues or minds when we want them to. They're so amazing that, the animals that live in our homes, we have invited them into human spaces and expected them to adapt and live in harmony in our human spaces. Wow, that's a big ask.
Yeah.
That's a big ask.
Right.
But they do it. They don't bring with them the level of human baggage, the level of ego, the level of whatever, our negative beliefs are that have helped shape and form our defense mechanisms and who we are, who we've become. They're truly present. So they're kind of inspiring, and they're inspiring in that way. If I really need to sit down and take a break, my dog's going to go lie on the couch and start asking me to come sit next to him. And sitting there petting him is going to calm me and give me the much needed break that I need. They just put themselves in situations like that help us so much.
Oh, I love that. We're getting like even Megan here says, I truly believe animals are angels. I do believe that as well. And another one, Marilyn was saying, such a great way to see this, and she's right. You know, the way you guys are sharing how our animals, you know, are with us, and that love that they give us is really inspiring. So I have one. I think we have time for a few more questions. So anyone out there in the comments, if you want to throw a little question to these ladies, put it in the comments, and we'll ask them. But I have one.
Okay.
We think of animals. I'm a cat mom. I know some of you both are either cat or dog, you know, moms here. But what is the weirdest or most unusual animal that each of you have had a communication with beyond animals and cats? I mean, dogs and cats.
Well, that's such a good question.
Because I mean, there's so many other types of pets that people have, from you know, lizards to snakes to, you know, is there a horse? You know, what's the most unusual animal that you've ever had a communication with, and what was that like? So Karen, I'll have you go first on this one.
Okay, so as much as I love animals, insects are a thing for me. They always have been like a thing for me. So back to when I was first learning, and I went to Omega to learn from Danielle, or I was finishing up my classes with her, and I went to Omega. She sent us outside to work with wild animals.
Ooh.
And I thought, yeah, I'm going to talk to that really cute chipmunk over there. I'm going to find a bunny rabbit. Maybe I'll find a turtle, like all that. No, I'm outside trying to find the animal I want to talk to. I find a squirrel, and the cicadas start going at it like louder than I could have. And cicadas, which is so funny because that Meredith loves cicadas. So this swarm of cicadas would not shut up over my head. And I finally had to give in and say, all right, what wisdom are you trying to impart to me? And it was this knowledge of the collective, of how they are helping the frequency of the atmosphere around them, that I never would have thought of. And of course, then I went home and looked it up and found out that, yeah, that actually is true. And it was like, oh my God, the value that they have, and how the collective work they do together, and their awareness, like they were trying to tell me, like, no, we need to all be a collective. And that was a big aha moment for me when it came to insects, that I was like really adverse to having.
Oh my goodness. And it reminds me of even in shamanic teachings, right? We talk about animal totems even, and the different meanings of when a deer crosses your path, or, you know, when you see a certain animal from the wild come to you, they often are bringing other messages too. So you're kind of bringing that full circle with that, Karen. That's so cool. And I love cicadas and the rhythm of their energy. So Meredith, how about you? What is the most unusual animal communication you've had?
Well, first, shout out to cicadas. I love them. I love them. And I'm in a part of the world where we had both swarms this last summer. And we did a whole podcast about cicadas. I adore cicadas. I love everything that they mean. So I'm glad that they shut it for Karen, because now she at least has a little tidbit of appreciation for cicadas. So the most unusual animal communication. I want to say two things. One, I love working with collectives. I love ants. I love ant energy, ant medicine. It's a community all working together, doing things that are way bigger than themselves. So I talk to anthills and worms a lot, just in my own life. In terms of clients, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've worked with a lot of bearded dragons and snakes, which I've never been a reptile person, but they've really kind of opened me up to that. And then there was one parrot, or it wasn't a parrot. It was some tropical bird that I wasn't that familiar with, who spoke to me in Italian, and I don't speak Italian. So his messages came through, and I had to ask his human mom. I was like, why would he be speaking Italian? And he ended up just being like a real suave, debonair kind of guy. He was flirting with me is what he was doing. But I asked him to translate into English, and he did. So tropical birds, lots of insects and collectives, and various reptiles. Plus, we've both spoken to a sloth before. So
oh wow, what is that? I mean, sloths are one of my favorite animals. They're so adorable. What was that like? Was it a pet sloth or in the wild?
It was part of training. But the truth is, at the time, we didn't even know that that's what we were connecting with. And that was part of the goal, right?
Yeah.
Because even now, if I'm working with an animal, we don't, as we mentioned, we don't ask for pictures. We don't ask for descriptions. We don't ask for background, history, shape, size, age, all of those things. So a lot of times an animal will come through to me and show me a physical image that's not at all what they appear like. They're telling me something about their personality and what I need to know.
Yeah.
And it's not just a tiny kitten coming through as a lion or the little teacup poodle coming in as Spike the Bulldog from Bugs Bunny. Sometimes it's a completely different animal, and they're trying to express to us, I mean, different species completely. They're trying to express to us, here's an aspect of my personality that I would like for you to know.
Oh, so true. And again, you're bringing in similarities to how mediumship works as well, because sometimes they are using, things I have in my mental toolbox to help bring through personality or energy of who they are. Which, Meredith, by the way, your parrot story is reminding me. I don't know if you've seen the TikTok of the bird that does the dance, or the
green and yellow bird.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yes, I watch it. I love it.
The minute you said that, I was like, he was coming into my mind, a little suave personality there. We have a few quick questions from the comments, ladies. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to my friend Raz, who gave me a lovely hello. Hi, Raz. So one question, and I love this because I think, and I'll let you, if you each want to tackle one. So John is asking, could our animals be souls that have been with us in human form in our past?
Well, I think you should answer this too, Lauren, from your perspective. Let's all take a stab at this one.
We might have differences of opinion, but I'll let you go first.
Well, this is why I would love for all three of us to share, is because, again, and this is why I always say that, maybe we're going to answer this. I want to predecess it by saying, we only know what our soul filter, human, Karen experience, Lauren and Meredith experience, have the capacity to kind of filter through. I'm hoping and praying, right? My set intention is that I am the most pure, open conduit I can be for the best and highest good, right? And if I am in that place and space, then whatever comes through, I have to have faith in it, right? And that I'm trying desperately not to filter or judge or predetermine based on what I might believe, air quotes, right? So from that perspective, I have been totally surprised by what I've heard, because I want to be shocked the crap out of me. And then I believe it could possibly be true. Because I always say, there's a pile of stuff way above our pay grade, right? And in this dimensional layer that we just don't know. How do we know? Mm-hmm. So I always predecess with that. That said, I personally have had animals tell me that they were human in another life. Mm-hmm. I have also, I have had them share with me that they were human in another life. So, and there's usually, for me, the experience has been quite a profound impact on why the choice or why the soul has had an agreement to come back as an animal after having been human.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So there's usually a really important reason, or the only way they could get to that soul was through this different avenue to continue doing, working, healing, whatever it is. Ooh. So I've heard it a few times. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Meredith, what do you feel?
Well, it is a very complicated question. I have not had the experience in readings from the animals specifically saying to me, this is who I was, this is what I was, whatever, in a past life. But I have had lots of experiences where animals have said, we have been together before.
Yes.
My personal belief system, based on what the animals have told me, and among other things, is that we do travel in soul groups. And so it's no surprise to me that we would be together again, whether your dog was the cart driver and you were the horse. It could go either way. I don't necessarily see the limits in human to animal to cicada to spider. I just don't. I don't have a ton of personal anecdotal evidence from the animals, but that is what I believe. What about you, Lauren? Let's put you on the spot.
Yeah, you're right, Lauren.
It's hard because I've never like I think you were saying, Meredith, I've never had any human come to me and say I was an animal before, but I think we talked about this when I was on your podcast in terms of like when we look at mythology, right? We see a lot of deities being represented with animal forms, especially in Egypt and in India. So I think if mythology is trying to share, a bit of a connection between the two, that perhaps, and I mean, is it possible that we've even evolved from, apes at some point or fish, depending on where you believe that. But I do think there are times where there could almost be a blend of the connections. How many times have you felt like you feel animalistic a certain way or feel connected to a certain animal, maybe emulate a bit of that energy, right? So, and I'm hearing another medium friend of mine saying, you never know what you know until you know it. So
Right.
I don't know if I have an answer that we have been animals before, but I think mythology is trying to teach us something about the correlation between animal and human spirit, and that we can emulate and or vice versa. There are times where my cat feels very human. So I don't know that I have a final answer about the soul journey, but like you were saying, Meredith, too, I do think the word familiar that we use in certain spiritual teachings is for a reason. I do think we travel in soul groups and that our animals can be familiar to us. So whether that we recognize them as a human soul that we've known or a similar animal that, they've just traveled with us before. Right. So I don't know if the jury's still out on that.
I think the jury's always going to be out on that until we're actually there and we go,
I'll never know until
I get it.
Yeah. When we get up there, we'll know. Right. So if we have time, maybe we'll squeeze in one more. Okay. Well, this one might be kind of similar. Could our animals be reincarnated from a parent that has passed traumatically? So I think we kind of maybe answered that a little bit. We don't, I think, truly know. But it's interesting if I can just share something there, Megan. My father who passed had a cat, and this I find interesting. I don't believe my father, by the way, is in my current cat, but my cat now is almost identical. As they're both calicos. My dad had a calico, and then I found a calico that looks almost identical to my father's cat. I don't think that was an accident. So maybe they don't come to us as the animal, but they might bring that animal to you to bring healing and love. And I know, like, when I look at my Suki, sometimes the first thing I think of is like, thank you, Dad, for sending her to me. Ladies, any quick thoughts on that question as well?
I can share that. I don't know if human to animal, I haven't heard human to animal do, but I've seen and heard animal to animal do it, where they are so much more open to sharing. That I've had, and I'll tell a super quick story. My cat, Hockey Puck, the soul baby of mine, the catalyst to everything that has happened to me since leaving a job, starting the ACC, everything, positive him. When he passed, I lived in Charlestown. I was walking down the street, and there was a cat down the street from us that looked literally just like him, another Black Panther cat whose name happened to be Blackie. That was really original. And I hadn't seen Blackie in a while, and I was really missing Hockey Puck. And as I was walking home from work, I said to Hockey Puck, if you're here, please send Blackie out to see me because I miss you so much. But not only did he send Blackie out to see me as I walked around the corner and there was Blackie, Blackie took on the traits of Hockey Puck and started circling me the way he did, flop down on his back the way he would. And I thought, oh my God, Blackie's allowing you to kind of body share. Energy share with him for a little while. And it was mind-blowing to me. I felt like I was literally speaking to and connecting with Hockey Puck. And then the connection broke and Blackie hopped up and he was Blackie personality again. So that was a really incredible experience.
I love that. Yeah. And Meredith, anything you would quickly add to that as well?
I think that's part of the way that our animals continue to support us from the other side is to, yes, I do think that they send animals our way. I do believe that they can share space with a Hockey Puck experience in that regard. And that sometimes it's just, maybe looking at your calico, Lauren, and saying, well, thanks, Dad. Every time I see this cat, I think of you. So that's really lovely.
I love that. So I know you guys have been ladies have been so wonderful hanging out with me and answering these wonderful questions. And for those who have been tuning in, thank you for joining us. Before we go, we have one more thing to talk about. And that's our good friend, Julie. Now, ladies, Julie, who is the founder of Nika Love, I hope I'm saying that right.
Yes,
this time, which is a wonderful organization in Nicaragua where they help with animal aid, rehabilitation. She's opened a shelter down there. They have mobile units that work in the rural areas of Nicaragua to help animals that need care and attention. So we're coming together, the three of us, on June 8th in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, for a wonderful fundraiser for this beautiful organization. And I'm so excited, First Ladies, to work with you all. And I want everybody to know that if you get tickets to this event, all the proceeds we're sending to Julie and her team in Nicaragua to help with her beautiful foundation. Ladies, anything about Julie? I know we all met her in different ways, but do you want to share a little something? Because you know Julie a little longer and better than I do in terms of her organization that might encourage people to come join us.
So I can say I am actually a board member.
Oh, lovely.
So I met Julie right at the early stages of when Meredith and I were doing the Animal Communication Collective, and we connected back then and became good friends. And I just loved what she did. She loved what we did. We've done some events for her, and then I went on to the board. And what I think is so amazing about Nika Love is not only is there a sanctuary for animals who, if they can't find a home, they have a place to live out the rest of their lives, but they do incredible work in the community. Understanding the communities that they're working with and in Nicaragua, helping with spay and neuter programs and health programs, and really helping to educate the local community on ways to care for their animals and to stop the animal overpopulation that's happening. And so it's an incredible boots on the ground, hardworking group of people that have taken up the torch to help animals. And so, yes, our event for her coming up, and Julie is an incredible human being, and you'll get to meet her at the event along with us. So yes, please come. 100% of the proceeds are going to support her and the programs and the animals. And I will just say that the animals are so grateful. They want to say thank you for us coming together for them.
Yeah. I have to share, we were talking about this before we went live, and what is so interesting about countries like Nicaragua, where they don't have the same, I think why this is so important, we were talking about, like, we see this in India as well, why these, foundations, I'm all tongue-tied here, like Nika Love are so important in countries like Nicaragua, is they also don't have the veterinary access that I think we have here in the United States that we're very blessed with. And so a lot of times these wonderful foundations like Nika Love are so helpful in these other countries where they can't get that access to the care for their animals that we have. So being able to, fundraise and share this wonderful opportunity to support this, I'm just so excited. And Julie, we love you. I have to share really quickly, I still have yet to meet Julie in person. We've met a few energetically. We did a reading and stuff together. So I'm really excited, Julie, to meet you in person and to come together with these beautiful ladies to do this event. Meredith, anything that you want to add into that as well?
All of the above. I met Julie when we were planning for our very first ACC event with Nika Love years ago. And then I have been fortunate enough to meet Julie in person several times and do some in-person live events to raise funds for Nika Love. Julie is a force of nature.
She is.
She sets her mind to something, and by golly, she's going to make it happen. The miles that she has traveled and the hurdles that she has overcome to create the organization that she's created is amazing and phenomenal. And she is very modest. And look, she's going to be all like, oh, thanks. Yeah. But look, I'm telling you, she is a force to be reckoned with. And I treasure her as a friend and as a role model and as somebody who does the amazing work that she does for the animals.
And I just have to say before you close out on us all.
No, we got time.
Meredith and I have to give props back to you, Lauren, because Lauren Rainbow, as you all know, is an incredible medium. She is a force to be reckoned with herself. And we are so amazed and honored that you would agree to do this with us and to collaborate with us. That my heart is singing that we get to do this together.
I'm excited, and to give back, to be of service with our abilities is important. So I'm so excited to be a part of this event. Thank you for that, Karen. Meredith, I get to meet you two ladies in person. Karen and I know we've talked, and Meredith, I'm excited to meet you all in person. We're gonna have an amazing time. And again, if you're still here or you're catching us in a replay, join us June 8th. We're gonna be live in the room in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 3S Art Space. It's an afternoon event, so you don't have to worry about, having a Sunday evening. You still have your leisurely time. I've put the ticket link in the comments. We have space available. We also will have some giveaways that we're going to do, some raffles for. I think we're each giving away a reading, right?
Yes, you could win a reading
with one of us, and if you're there, you may get a message from Spirit or from our animal friends, and we're excited to all work together. This is going to be a super fun event. I think it's going to be super high energy too.
And there's going to be cocktails too, which
yes, just saying. A little afternoon cocktail brunch time. So Julie, we want to thank you, by the way. I know you're hanging out there, for bringing the three of us together for this amazing event. Everybody come join us. I want to thank you, Karen Dendy Smith and Meredith Tollison. Join them, follow them. I think any socials that you ladies have, Karen, how do people find you?
Karen Dendy Smith _intuitive on Instagram, or just karendendysmith.com, and all my socials are there.
I love that. And Meredith, how do we find you?
I'm pretty easy too. I'm meredithtollison.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. You can find links to our podcast, links to the Animal Communication Collective, all of those things through either of our websites.
Yes, give these ladies a follow. Check out their wonderful podcast. I'm so grateful to be a guest. I think we did that even a month ago or so. It was so much fun. And the Animal Communication Collective, you guys are doing amazing work. So thank you so much for sharing our time today. Everybody who joined us, thank you for joining us live. And if you catch us on the replay, come join us in Portsmouth, June 8th. Oh, ladies, I hope you have a lovely evening, and we're going to say goodbye. Thank you all.
Bye, guys.
Everyone.